Hey, what's up there, YouTube friends? It's Grumpy Gamer Dad here. Hey, and this is part 3 of my series, film series, whatever you want to call it, mini-series, Making the Nightmare, episode 3. I can't believe I did 3 of these things. This one here is going to focus on Zero the Ghost Dog's house. We're going to build this out of foam. We're going to have to use some PVC for support, I think, but foam and some foam shingles, craft foam. So it's going to be kind of an involved deal. So stay tuned. So we're going to use this foam I bought at Home Depot. There were 6 sheets for $10. This is 3/4 inch thick. It is 14.5 inches wide and 48 inches long. Obviously, we're going to cut it down a little bit to make the house. So I have crudely drawn what it's going to look like. Basically, it's got an arched, pointed roof. It's going to be 3-dimensional. This foam, because it's only 3/4 inch thick, I'm going to actually double it up and glue one piece on top of another to make it thicker. Especially will be helpful in the front because it's got that cutout section. So the tools I'll need for this are going to be tape measure, Sharpie, some sort of straight edge, and cutting device. I'm going to try with the regular utility knife. I'll try with the foam knife. I even have the hot foam cutting tool if I need to. But the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to start off, I'm going to measure out the basic shape of it and then use that as a template because I'm going to need to make 4 pieces for the front, 4 arched pieces for the front of it if I'm going to double them up. So you see here I've measured it out. Basically I drew a line halfway through it and then I've done my angles, and I'm going to cut this first piece out as a template, and I need to make 4 of these. So imperfections I think add to the character of it. I found that the serrated foam cutter, this glorified bread knife that I picked up for a few dollars at the hardware store, worked better than the box knife did. I did not use the hot knife because it's a pain in the ass. I will use it for some finishing work later. So here I've just basically traced out the archway for the front, the doggy door for Zero. I used a straight edge and then a Home Depot bucket for that radius. So for the process of cutting out this doggy door, I'm going to use the hot knife, the foam cutter knife. This is available pretty much at most craft stores. It's just this little metal shaft here, and you plug it in. And be careful, it gets super hot. So fire hot, knife sharp, fire hot. These are the 2 lessons you can take from this. One thing I do need to warn you when using this thing is it's very delicate. It's a wire basically just crimped in there, and I can't, mine broke. Yeah. Alright, so I have basically carved out Zero's name, and then I used black paint to put it in there. I used my Dremel tool to carve it, and it actually went really quickly, but you have to be careful because the Dremel tool, you have to use it on the lower settings. It has a mind of its own, especially if it hits a pocket of those styrofoam. It will just take off, and you have to kind of keep it under control. On the subject of paint, I think I may have mentioned this before, but do not use spray paint. I would recommend some craft paint. I have here some acrylic paint. You're going to have to manually paint it on there with either a roller or brushes or both. But spray paint will eat styrofoam. It will melt it and you'll have a gooey, gross mess. I hope that history does not judge me on the level of success I had cutting specifically the dog bone. And then again, the skull and crossbones didn't come out so well. This side's a little bit longer. I might be able to cut that off and re-glue it. But yeah, the Dremel tool, it caught a pocket and just went psh, and that will happen. But I guarantee you, even at the lowest setting, it'll save you a lot of time. Okay, so here we are. We're going to paint Zero's house. I'm using a 3-inch roller. This is some leftover stuff from a painting project I did upstairs. I've already cut all my pieces out, and I'm just rolling this black paint over it. I'm going to go over it again in gray later. Yeah, this is just me rolling it out. Very exciting, huh? Rolling it out. That's left-handed. Hey, I'm ambidextrous. So as I'm moving along in this, I'm learning different techniques, and this is Zero's, the dog bone, crossbone, whatever, the face. You can see here, these were the original ones. I tried to carve one piece, and there was a little situation. My oldest kid decided he was going to come out here and help, and carved up stuff that didn't need to be carved and painted stuff that didn't need to be painted, and it made me realize, hey, I've got some scrap material now. So I rebuilt the dog crossbones. I think it looks a lot better here. I've mocked it up, and there's Zero's house. So here are the pieces for the skull and crossbones. I used toothpicks to peg them together, and I painted them a lighter gray. So here's the Zero front face, and then the hole cut out. This will go on here. I'm going, like I said, I'm double walling these things, so they're 1.5 inches thick. So I'm going to flip this over. I'm going to glue it down with my Loctite foam glue. So here's the glued up face of the Zero doghouse. It's still drying, and once it's done drying, I'll do the dry brush. I'll touch up these areas. You can see some of the glue spill over, and touch those up, and then that will be done. And I'll be ready to glue the other pieces. Over here you can see the cross for the top of the doghouse. I did it in 2 pieces of foam. My wife freehanded it, and then I just drilled it out with my Dremel. Right now it's clamped up. I've got this dowel in here so I can insert it through the roof. Alright, so the front pieces are done. Zero's face is on there. The side pieces are done. Now all that's left is the roof. I'm making the roof a little bit longer than the rest, so the body is 24 inches long in this build. So I'm going to make them, the roof is going to be 30 inches long, so you've got about 3 inches overhang front to back. And now I've just got my foam sheet out here. This is about the 7th and 8th sheet that I've used in this build, and I'm just going to cut it down, and then the roof's done. We'll just paint it up, and I got something really cool idea for the little shingles for take it in. Still have to put the roof on, but we're still working on the shingles. As you can see, behind the scenes, it's not as pretty. There's those angles I was talking about. Yeah. So when it's all done, we'll put the roof on, put the shingles on, and this project will be done. So here's the mock-up of what the house will look like with the roof on. Okay, for the shingles on Zero's house, they're kind of a scalloped thing. So what I've got here is, this is a 12 by 18 thin foam. And what I'm doing is I've just got this circular thing here, and I'm going to do it one piece and try it. So I'm just taking and drawing out these circles, they're half circles. So here's the finished product. Again, just scalloped. So we're finishing up the roof on Zero's house. I've painted the substrate, the bottom piece, the roof black, and then I'm gluing on these foam shingles. They're one piece, overlapping them, starting from the bottom and working the way to the top. It should actually provide a little waterproofing, I would think, too. So this is the last step on the roof of Zero's house. We have these shingles, we've cut off the extra, and now we have this paint we're going to dry brush on. And I just want it to go straight down the shingle. So I'm going to let Grumpy Gamer Son number 2 do this. I'd show Grumpy Gamer Son number 2, but his outfit does not match. And there we have our finished roof, dry brushed and ready to go on to Zero's house, and that project will be complete. Alright, this is the finished product of Zero's house. And then we took a foam sheet here, wrapped it over the top so you don't see the seam where the 2 pieces of styrofoam came together. I have to say that so far, tools in the background. So far, Zero's Doghouse has been one of my favorite projects. It was 100% DIY. There was no repurposing. With Jack, with Sally, we've repurposed them. The cost of this was about a $20 build. I mean, honestly, in just material costs, $25. It's hard to really differentiate the prices when it comes to paint. Because I'm buying paint for all these projects, it's really hard to incorporate those prices. Yeah, I'd say all in all about $25 tops to build Zero's doghouse. That's actually, well, there you go. Episode 3, Zero's Doghouse. This one and Lock, Shock, and Barrel, I think, well, besides the cemetery, which was 100% scratch built, Zero's house was 100% scratch built. I think I mentioned this. It's my favorite build thus far. It's the one where we've had the most family effort into it. That one in the cemetery arches, the columns there, a lot of family effort into this. It has been a family project, but Zero's house. I hope you like it. Like, subscribe, follow me on Instagram at Grumpy Gamer Dad. Until next time, this is Grumpy Gamer Dad saying, go ahead, make my nightmare. Yeah, still working on it.